Hello, everybody. I am back for another description of where I am. And also, I want to give a synchronicity class, which I have talked about before. I often talk about how nothing happens by accident. Therefore, it makes sense to me to say everything is a synchronicity. And I've heard there are green light synchronicities and red light synchronicities. And the way that I distinguish between the two is a red light synchronicity is happening because of what our human thinks we want. And a green light synchronicity happens or is orchestrated by the divine, your higher spirit, because it is what your soul wants. But I want to share a recent green light synchronicity and what it has been showing me. First, I want to tell you a quick bit about where I am now. 4 days ago, I left Telluride, Colorado, and drove about an hour west southwest to the town of Ouray, Colorado. Ouray is even more beautiful than the mountains of Telluride. I couldn't believe it. It is breathtaking here. The ads for Ouray show it being the Switzerland of America because of these mountains that resemble the Swiss Alps. No joke. Seriously, so scenic. I still can't believe I'm here. But I am feeling this won't be my final stop. I don't know for sure. Um, it won't be where God is planting me, is what I'm feeling. And that is to be determined. For those who didn't see my previous video talking about my 2,000-mile road trip outside my comfort zone and why it's important for you too, I was led to take this big road trip driving west across the United States after swearing I never wanted to take a big trip again. And I never again wanted to travel alone. On top of that, Spirit broke it to me that I was not going back to the place I called home in North Carolina after I had sworn I wanted to never move again. So a lot of nevers there. And I'm eating my own words because here I am doing all three of those things. So let me be your example to never say never about something you really don't want to happen. I invite you to go back and watch that video because of all the details of how I moved through so much emotion and resistance that I had around what Spirit was guiding me to do, and how I healed another codependent relationship in the process of all that. I didn't leave for the road trip without a lot of kicking and screaming. I will tell you that in advance. I can say that I only knew I was going to Telluride, and everything beyond that, like where I would live, where else I would go, how I would get there, was and still is a big unknown. I am totally letting the unknown take the wheel. And I was told I would be shown a whole new world. So I do have that to look forward to. I am 13 days into my travel and my journey, the spiritual aspect of this journey as well as the physical aspect. This experience really is more than I had ever dreamed I could do or ever dreamed I would ever be doing. The night before I was to check out of the hotel in Telluride, my guides had finally dropped some breadcrumbs of where I would go next, which is here in Ouray, Colorado. Ouray is an indigenous Indian name. That's the town is named after that chief of the Ute tribe. And everything about this area right down to this Airbnb that I'm staying in is so in alignment with me. And it was all spirit led. I just felt my spirit guides just give a big high five. All my spirit guides were high fiving when I said that. It was all spirit led. I have lots of video that I'm using as B roll to use on this. Well, I say lots, a little bit, and future videos that I hope to record because there has been many synchronicities and things that I've done that are relevant to spiritual growth and expansion during this trip. I can't keep up with it all as far as getting it all recorded and uploaded. But today I want to talk about one of those expansive outings that has to do with me going to a local hot springs, a hot springs. There's lots of them around here. And I want to talk about why my outing to a hot springs is significant. It still surprises me. I wasn't having any interest at all in dipping in the hot springs until 2 nights ago. And even the interest surprised me because for many years I have avoided hot tubs and the like. I never enjoyed them. Now, I like mineral pools that I have gotten in at spa retreats, but I never enjoyed a hot tub. But Spirit put it in my mind to explore. I have learned that Spirit has a reason for everything, even if it is to just have fun. But this wasn't for that simple reason. When I went online to reserve a spot at the hot springs, I saw why Spirit was guiding me there. It had, I have to brace my own self before I say it, that hot springs had a clothing free option. I saw it, and the old me immediately announced to Spirit, okay, I'll be going far enough out of my comfort zone just by being in the springs with other people who are nude. But I am not going to be one of them that is nude. What I announced the Spirit. But when it came time for my reservation to soak in the hot springs, I got a very strong nudge that I should get um, in the hot tub clothing free. Yep, you heard me right. I definitely had quite a bit of hesitation, but not as much resistance as I had had with this whole trip and moving and all that. So I was able to move through the hot springs nude idea a little bit easier, but I definitely had nerves about it. I told Spirit, you better not put someone there who knows me. Don't do that to me. But I set out for the hot springs, which is only 4 miles up the road, and I only carried a bathrobe with me, no swimsuit. I'm determined to do what I need to do to grow and expand. My goodness. And things that Spirit guides me to do just blows me away. Okay, so once I was inside the hot springs, I walked past the first pool um, because it was the largest pool and it had the most people in it. I dipped my toe in and just turned around and kept walking. I needed baby steps, okay? A smaller pool with fewer people for my debut public nudity event. I did get in the next springs, the next pool. There were only 3 people in this pool, and yes, I stood there before getting in the pool, took off my robe, and climbed in, my heart pounding, but I did it. I only stayed in about 15 minutes because I really don't enjoy that hot water for a long period of time. I'm not a pool person in general. Uh, I don't really, I've gotten in the ocean, but I don't really like it. I don't crave it or anything like that. Um, and after getting out of the hot tub or the springs, the hot springs, I went straight home to the Airbnb and took a shower. That shared water, it gives me the heebie-jeebies. It's just not for me. That's probably something else I need to work on and heal, but maybe later. While I was aware of the reason for taking this public dip in the nude, I have had a body image most of my life. No, all of my life. I can say that. And what I'm feeling is my soul wanted me to face it head on, finally, once and for all. So I did. And at this point, I was super glad it was done and hoping I didn't need to go back to get in the larger springs. I was hoping this at that point. But today I got my confirmation that what I did was enough. And I want to share this little synchronicity with you. I thought it was fun. So, this situation, and it still baffles me, is simplistic and at the same time mind boggling for me. I went downtown to a sweet, quiet, and quaint street in Ouray to do some work on my laptop this morning. Blaze was with me. She's such a good puppy. We passed through a beautiful park and hung out for a few minutes as we walked to the sitting areas in town. So I got my Gaia fix in this small, beautiful park. After being on my laptop about an hour or so, I packed up to leave, and my sweater that I had hung on the back of my chair wasn't there. Actually, it was nowhere to be found, literally. Blaze and I walked all around, and I was looking under tables and chairs and cars. I was asking people if they had seen it. There was a little breeze, but not enough wind to blow a piece of clothing around. Another person joined in the search with me and checked behind me and up and down the street. It was not there. It was not anywhere that we looked. So when I got back to the Airbnb, I started asking Spirit why they took my sweater. Why did you take my sweater? They wanted me to consider what major event had happened before the sweater disappeared. So, which of course I felt had to do with me getting in the hot tub in the hot springs nude. So that's what I said. And what I got next from Spirit is that I am the sweater going missing is symbolic that I am energetically ready to stop hiding and now to show up fully, authentically, without needing a safety net. That sweater was one that it was a thin, like spring-like sweater, and it just had like 3/4 inch or 3/4 length sleeves that I wore just to cover up my upper arms while wearing a sleeveless shirt like the one I have on. Spirit pointed out that upper arms can be spiritually tied to personal strength, and I no longer need that defense of shielding myself from criticism. The rest of the message they conveyed was I have evolved past the version of myself who wore that sweater. The universe removed it to make space for new energy. And at this point, I was excited and content that I didn't need to go back to the hot springs, even though I would miss one of my favorite sweaters. So, heart centered friends, I invite you to investigate even the smallest synchronicities that occur in your life. They are all showing us something that will help us grow and expand, which is what we really want, which is what our soul wants. I hope to be back soon with more about last week's synchronistic message on the billboard that I talked about on that last video I mentioned, where God was saying, "Come home." And I want to share more about how it correlates, coming home correlates to our sovereignty. And also, I want to do a video to share with you about the off-road Jeep tour in the mountains that I took a couple days ago, and how it teaches us that healing is not about finding a road without obstacles. The goal in healing is to become someone who trusts herself or himself to navigate even the bumpiest, scariest road. And the cliff's edge going up the mountain symbolizes our comfort zone too. So I wanted to find a good spot in this Airbnb to record that is reflective of this town. And you see the little spotted ski dog behind me. And then on this side, there's photos of lots of different mountain ranges in this area. It's absolutely stunning. It's breathtaking. This is a snow skiing tourist town. And I'm guessing the owner of this Airbnb might have a family member who was an Olympic snow skier. I'll show you a couple photos that are actually in this rental space. This rental space is in the basement of the owner's home where he lives. And the Airbnb is called the Spotted Dog. If anyone is interested in visiting Ouray, Colorado, I highly recommend it. For now, we see you, we love you, we trust you. We know you are doing the very best you can. Keep going all the way to self-love. I'll talk to you next time.